Welcome to Talk It Over, coming to you from the Tucson Seiko Open out at Randolph Park. And my very special guest is Tom Watson, who is one of golf's superstars. In fact, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to let Tom tell you just how many tournaments he's won. Now, I realize that's an embarrassing question, but could you run through?
That's because you couldn't remember it.
I know, Tom. But you notice how I cleverly turned that around.
I've won a few tournaments, let's put it that way. I won a few British Opens and a U.S. Open a couple years ago, which was a great thrill for me, and a couple Masters. And it's always a thrill to play golf, to win. When I first started playing the game of golf, it really wasn't, on the tour, it really wasn't to win. It was just to try to make the top 60, which would allow me to be exempt for the next year. And I was a very unproven commodity when I first started playing the professional golf. I didn't know what type of player I'd ever become, but I had to give it a chance. And fortunately, for me, I put a lot of hours in it. I had a very understanding wife in those hours. And now I'm right at the point where I've had a good career, but I still want more.
Did you play high school and college golf?
I did. I played some high school golf and some college golf. I think high school golf was more important than college golf. When going to college, I had other interests and other responsibilities going to college, but high school, it was just the season. It was fun.
Well, golf is one of the sports that you can take a little bit more time to mature. That in football and basketball and so on, when you're 18, 19, and 20, those are almost your peak years.
Well, they don't tackle you in golf, and they don't elbow you in the ribs in golf too much. Although there've been some various injuries in the golf course, flying clubs and things like that you have to watch out for. But golf, basically, I think you can mature a little bit later in golf. The experience of playing under pressure and playing professional golf medal play is something you have to learn. It's very difficult to just jump into it and be successful at it. There have been very few players who have been able to do that.
At what point did you say to yourself, and somebody said, what did you want to be when you grow up, little boy? And at what point did you say, I want to be a professional golfer?
Well, I said that when I was 12 and 13 and 14 years old, but they had a strange rule back then. The USGA said that even if you showed verbal intent of wanting to become a professional, then they would deem you a professional. It was a crazy rule. They don't have that anymore. But at that stage in my age, that's all that I really wanted to live for, is to play professional golf. Then when I was a senior in high school and was going to college, I said, well, professional golfer travels a lot. I haven't done any traveling. I don't know whether I would like to travel out of a suitcase. And I went to college with the idea of trying to learn something else. I ended up learning a little bit about psychology, not a lot. And at the end of 4 years in college, I had learned more about myself probably than academics. But I did know one thing, that if I was going to do anything with the rest of my life, I had to base that on some talent. And I chose, basically, I decided my best talent was golf, and I had to at least try that and try to do my best at what I thought I could do the best.
Have you ever turned, and I'm sure you probably have, and used your psychology training on some of your opponents?
You don't do it on your opponents so much as you do it on yourself. You try to calm yourself down when you're under pressure situations. There are certain physical ways to do that. There are certain days where you just feel better than others, and you have to realize physically that you're not capable of doing something that day that you could the day before, or some days when you are playing with a tremendous amount of freedom and you can hit the ball farther because your adrenaline is making you stronger. You realize these things. That's why it's difficult just to jump into it and to understand it. There are certainly a lot of variables involved, but when it comes down to winning the game of golf, it really comes down to less than a stroke around that determines who's going to be a winner.
And we'll come right back and we'll talk about this very different type of play required for match play versus medal play. My guest, coming from the Seiko Tucson Open, is Tom Watson. Tom is the superstar of golf. He's won at least 28 major tournaments around this country. See, I remembered that one.
You got it almost right there, Ellen. You're doing pretty well.
Almost. Pretty soon I can qualify as your PR agent.
Very good.
The match play, this very new concept to Tucson and to the PGA tournament. How do you like it? What are its good points? What are its bad points?
Well, match play is a fun way to play. Everybody plays match play. Very few people really go out and try to compete against somebody else my score against your score. It's usually a hole by hole round of golf, where if I shoot an 8 on the first hole and you shoot a 7, then you're one up. You're not just one stroke up, you're one hole up. If I make a 10 on the hole and you make a 4, you just win one hole. You don't beat me by 6 shots. And the beauty of match play is that you can take more risk in match play than you can in medal play. Medal play, if you take a risk, say if you're behind some trees and you have to go over a lake, and you try to hit a low hook, and the ball doesn't get over the lake, and you make a 6 in the hole, you just lose one hole. If your opponent makes 3 and wins the hole, he doesn't beat you by 3 shots, he just wins one hole. And you can take that sort of risk in match play. On the other side of the coin, if your opponent does hit the ball in the lake, then you can play it safe. In medal play, you really can't do that as much. You're more confined in medal play. Match play is more exciting.
What does a champion athlete eat before he goes out for a tough day on the course? We've heard so much about nutrition and vitamins and everything. Do you pay any attention to that?
I try to basically eat the 3 basic food products. It's very easy to get involved in the type of traveling life and get involved in too much meat. Only, just meat and potatoes only. It's very easy to fall in the fast food trap where you eat that only. I like vegetables, and I've always been brought up on vegetables and fresh vegetables, and I like that in salads. And I don't like to eat too soon before. I like to have at least 2 hours after I've eaten to let my food digest before I go out to play. Sometimes on the golf course I'll eat a candy bar, but I'm more inclined to eat some raw nuts or some unsalted nuts.
What about vitamins? Do you take any vitamins?
I take some vitamins, yes.
Care to tell us which ones? Any secret ones?
No secret ones. Basically, it's just they're basically multivitamins, and they give you more than what you need. I don't know whether my body really needs it or not, but I seem to feel maybe a little bit better from a day in and day out standpoint when I'm using the vitamins. One of the things about professional golf that is unusual for an athlete. We're really not an athlete in the pure physical sense of being an athlete. We are in a sense of playing under pressure. Now, there are a lot of other people who we don't call athletes who perform under pressure, like a surgeon, the high-pressure business world, or the ad agency in New York. These people deal in pressure. If they don't exercise, and that pressure builds up adrenaline. Adrenaline goes to your heart. And one of the reasons that it's not confirmed, but one of the speculations is that too much adrenaline in your heart can cause heart disease, unless you exercise it out. And exercise goes right along with good health, and all the doctors tell you that. And the thing about golfers is that I find that if I don't exercise, I can't lose that adrenaline, and I don't sleep very well. I don't usually do a lot of exercise during the week. But I have found that if I do some exercise after I play in a tournament where I've built up a lot of adrenaline, I sleep a lot better. So I think it's healthy to, once you're in a stressful situation, to get out and release that through really strenuous physical exercise.
Are you into aerobics or sit-ups, push-ups, jogging, walking?
Basically, it's those groups. I ride an indoor bicycle, and I ride it for quite a long time, and get pretty tired out and get my heart rate up hard to well over, not well over a double level, but just over a double level, and that's something that I don't go into weightlifting. There are some of the golfers who have built themselves up in weightlifting. John Mahaffey has put on a lot of weight since he quit smoking. That's pretty easy to do. John plays the tour, and he's trying to gain some distance by beefing up and also in combination with some exercise or some weightlifting. I think that's you have to do the right muscles. You can't bulk up, make bulky muscles. You have to have good stretchy muscles that are very limber and flexible. Golf is not a real power game. It's a movement and it's a rhythm. And the best athlete in the world is a dancer. No question about it, a ballet dancer. And basketball players are right up there. Golfers don't rank real high up there, but they rank higher than you might expect. We do walk, and most golfers walk 5-6 miles a day very fast, and they're they do swing the golf club, which is not obviously all that physical, but it takes a lot of timing and skill to swing the golf club and not fall on your head, as you will have learned trying to play this game.
Yes.
But the game, as far as being able to enjoy it, you can enjoy it from a lot of different angles. One thing that you must do to enjoy the game, you simply have to learn the right way to go about it, the right way to approach it, and to go out and just play it. Don't get too serious about it at first, and keep healthy, eat the right things. We're talking about a lot of general subjects, but I think it's the most important thing is to go out and learn the right fundamentals at the beginning and enjoy it from that standpoint. As far as exercise, it gives you good exercise if you don't play in a cart. If you play in a cart, there's no exercise to it at all.
Forget it. Well, you're having fun, but that's
Oh, you're
about
having fun. That's right. And that's I'd like to see us go back to caddies. It would put quite a few clubs probably into the red because carts are a big revenue. But it put a lot of people to work, a lot of caddies to work, and get a lot more people, a lot more golfers to get better exercise.
Tom, good luck to you. It's a pleasure to have a golfing star of your magnitude play in our Tucson Seiko Open.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have been joined by Jan Stephenson. She is the fourth money-winning lady on the LPGA Tour for last year. Jan, you also won 3 titles, is it?
I've won 3 majors in the last 3 years, yes, and that's something that's never been done on the LPGA Tour, so I kind of feel proud of that. I won 4 tournaments this last year, and I'm looking forward to a good season in 1984.
What was your background? How did you become such a super golfer?
Well, I grew up in Australia. I'm Australian, and I was a top player over there, but I knew I could never be recognized as a top player until I came over here, and I've settled down, and I've married an American, I live in Arizona, so I feel very much at home here, and I won the Tucson tournament last year, so I'm really looking forward to coming back and defending.
Is it easier to come into some place you feel is your home base since you're an Arizona resident?
Yes, it is, except the only thing I have trouble with is my galleries usually get bigger and the people want you to do well because, you do live in Arizona. And I try a little bit too hard. And last year it worked well because I felt like they're all behind me. And I'd been to Australia, as a matter of fact, like the week before, and I felt very strange and didn't feel comfortable there. So when I came back, everyone seemed to have readopted me, and it felt very good, and I was very comfortable, and I won. But sometimes I try a little too hard because I really want to do well for Arizona.
I couldn't let you get away without asking a question about the calendar that you posed for. And as we were standing here, some gentleman came up and said, "I love your calendar." And you smiled, and I noticed the way you took that compliment, which was with a lot of happiness. Are you sorry that you did that, and what has happened since you've done that?
Well, there's always a lot of controversy when I pose for some kind of picture or another. And at first I used to be upset because they didn't really look at my golf record and they were so much involved with what I was wearing. And if I turned up at the golf course and I wasn't in shorts, everybody would be upset. But it's turned out that it's been good for the LPGA Tour. We've had a lot of girls that didn't like it and didn't like it being sold at the tournaments. And then we've had a lot of people. It's made a lot of money for charity, which really makes me feel good. I give any of the proceeds I get from it to charity. So it makes me feel good to do that.
Have the women on the tour, some of them, I understand, were quite nasty to you after you did the calendar. Have they changed their attitude, or are you still getting a lot of bad flack?
I get a lot of flack still. I think that they probably thought I was making, I know that a lot of them thought I was making a lot of money out of it, and they said I was making a carnival atmosphere of the tournaments. Well, I kind of feel that makes it feel good. I love the thought that there's popcorn and there's things to eat in it, and I always feel like a golf tournament is a carnival atmosphere, and it's fun. And I certainly didn't think that I was changing the atmosphere at all. I think they thought I was making a lot more money than I am.
The ladies' tour, and now you're playing in the celebrity portion of the men's tour here. Are there differences between professional women's golf and professional men's golf?
Absolutely. There's no comparison. I think there's really no comparison between a man athlete and a woman athlete in anything. And the men are so powerful that it is hard to compare. I think if we both had the same club into the green, we'd probably be even. And maybe the women would be a little bit better, with a 3-iron than they are, but they're hitting from so far back, so it's hard to compare. But there are people that try to compare, and you really can't. It's like tennis or anything. The men have so much power, and it's wonderful to watch. I'm just glad I'm a woman.
Well, so many people have said if there's any sport that the women will catch up to the men, it is golf, because they are not quite as big a disadvantage as football or basketball or something of that nature.
Well, I totally disagree with that. The only good thing is that someone like myself, who really isn't physically strong, can compete with women on the tour that are very big and muscular. And this is one of the few sports where you don't have that you can retain your femininity and still be successful. And that's why I'm very fortunate to be a golfer.
We'll come back in a moment and we'll talk further with Jan Stephenson. I'm talking with Jan Stephenson, who was fourth on the LPGA money-winning list last year. Jan, we asked Tom, and I'd like to ask you, what kind of diet do you follow to be on the tour and to play in different cities every day, and what kind of vitamins, and what kind of exercise?
Well, I do lots of exercise. I do Nautilus Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I do aerobics every morning at 7, and I do jazzercise at 5:45 every evening. So I pretty much stay in shape, but unfortunately I don't eat the same way. I tend to have periods where I'm a junk food addict, unfortunately, and I know that's very bad for me. But when you're on the tour sometimes, you miss lunch because you're out playing, and you'll be in a hurry and you come in, it's real late at night, and you're tired and you have to go practice and then go work out, and I'll just grab anything I can, and unfortunately it's usually junk food. So, and I feel it, I can really feel a difference, and I have to make myself eat a lot more protein and healthy foods, but it's very difficult when you're traveling to do that.
What about the vitamins? Do you go with the vitamin routine?
Absolutely. Because I eat so much junk food, I probably couldn't be as healthy as I am without vitamins. I have, because of stress, of course, I have B complex and I have multivitamin, and I eat C. I think that's the new wonder drug. And I eat a lot of C. In fact, I eat the chewable vitamin C's when I'm playing.
Gives you extra burst of energy?
I really feel, I don't know if it's mental, but I really do feel a difference. And I tend to catch colds so easily because of the cold and hot. In the summertime, you're in the hot, and then you go into the air conditioning, and then you're traveling so much, and you're around, I feel like so many germs when you're traveling and you're up so high that I probably would not be able to stay so healthy and eat such bad food if I didn't have vitamin C.
There's been a lot written about your marital life, and you just alluded to the fact that you're now happily married. Tell us a little bit about your home life. Does your husband travel with you, and do you travel with him, and how is that working out?
Well, my husband's in the oil business, but when I won the U.S. Open this year, we've always had an airplane. My husband flies, and he has his commercial and his airline transport rating, so he's an excellent pilot. And he's often taking me to tournaments. But when I won the Open, he was at the U.S. Open with me on the Saturday night I was leading the tournament, and I said, gosh, I need something to aim for because I'm very nervous. And he said, listen, if you win the tournament, if you win the U.S. Open, I'll buy you a jet. So, of course, I won the U.S. Open, and about 3 weeks ago we got a new jet. And so he flew me down today, and I'll probably commute from Phoenix to Tucson and play in the tournament, and like I'm going back this afternoon. And it's really something, it really helps me have something to work for because it's fun to be able to take off, and of course he flies me now, so he just waits for me on Sunday night, and I go whenever I finish playing. So it really it's exciting because I kind of kill two birds with one stone, because getting the plane, I get to travel and I get to play more, and also I see him more because he's on the tour with me.
It's kind of interesting because in years past you always saw the faithful wives following their husband athletes, and he sounds like he takes off a lot and follows you on the tour.
He does. He comes on the tour a lot because he can work a lot on the telephone, and we have so many contacts where he can do it on the telephone and traveling. He doesn't watch me play, though. He has not got to that where I know a lot of the wives watch the men play. But it's really fun. It's so much easier because when he was at home and I had to go home to see him, it was too tough because I had to miss tournaments, and then I didn't want to miss tournaments. And this way I get to play all I want, and he's very supportive.
One question that interviewers always ask women athletes is, do they plan on having a family later on? And so I must ask you that.
It's a very difficult question. We talk about it almost every night, especially when we go out for dinner and we have time to talk about it. It's something that people tell me if I don't, I'm going to really miss out on something. But it's so difficult when I'm traveling so much, and I don't think it would be fair to the babies to have them on the road because I wouldn't have time to be with them. Then I have to hire someone to look after them. And if you're going to have kids, then I think that you have to sacrifice something for that, and that would mean not traveling, and I would want to raise them myself, and hopefully I won't leave it too late. I do want a family.
What do you see ahead for Jan Stephenson in your golfing career?
I still feel like my best golf is ahead of me. I'm 2 or 3 years away from being where I really want to be. I feel like I've made so many changes, and I've had so many personal problems. I'm only just starting to settle down on the tour and play my best golf. So I think I'd like to enjoy it for 2 or 3 more years, and then I probably won't want to do the work I'm doing. I'm working really hard and don't have too much spare time. And then I'd like to have a family, and I don't know, just kind of have fun, I think.
When you are in a slump, how do you work that out?
Long hours. There's no other way out of it. I know a lot of people just take off, but I feel like when I'm playing badly or something's going wrong and I can't get it going, there's only one way to get it out, and that's I use video a lot to look at the problems I'm having and look at the way I was swinging when I was playing well and the way I was putting when I was putting well and try to get a good attitude. But I don't take off. I actually work twice as hard.
Is there someone whose advice you seek out, someone who's been influential in your golf game?
Well, my parents are very much influential. My father, of course, he caddied for me a few years on the tour, and I was very successful with him. And they come over and spend the summer with me from Australia, and they're very good. They really watch what my game is doing, and they help me every way they can. And, of course, my husband's very influential. He helps me with my putting.
I mean, does he have the expertise to figure out what's wrong?
Oh, absolutely. He's very knowledgeable. He was a professional and gave it up to really be my husband and be in the oil business. He knows a lot, and he especially knows my game very well.
Well, thank you for joining us on Talk It Over, and good luck to you this year.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.